Hey, Brandy, thank you so much for joining us today on the Life and Mission podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Kay. This is a really, really wonderful opportunity. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I've been a member of Hope Writers now. I think I'm in my third year, and you are a community writer with Hope Writers.
Got
And
it.
I think as we start out, if you could just tell us, first of all, what Hope Writers is. I know if you're a regular listener, I know you've heard about it, but explain what Hope Writers is and then go tell us what your role in Hope Writers is.
Yeah. So Hope Writers is an online resource for writers. It is a community of writers who help writers. We focus on the art of writing and the business of publishing. And that is really the balance that we try and strike with all of the writers that come through our doors in teaching them how to make progress.
That's awesome. That's what I love about it too. It is art and business. And a lot of times we
Yes,
have so much trouble balancing the two of those.
absolutely. Absolutely. I serve as a community writer, and the community writer role primarily I engage a lot in the member library. So if you're in the member library going through your resources, for those listeners who might already be Hope Writers, that person that's answering your questions, that would be me. and so I do a lot of that. I also have worked on a couple of different documents that you would find in the member library. So like the Hope Circle how to, and most recently the member directory. I was a part of coming up with some of the content you find there for setting up your memory directory profile. And so, yeah, and then a couple of projects that are in the works that won't mention yet, but is super exciting too. So
That is exciting. And Hope Writers is always coming up with new ways to help writers. I know it's a community that really listens to the people in the
yes,
community. You mentioned Hope Circles, and I want to touch on that really quick because Hope Circles really, I think, is one of the things that makes Hope Writers work. It's a big community of writers.
yes, it is a large community of writers and always getting larger. So yes, help
Yes.
circles are super important in terms of keeping some of that more intimate feel and really being able to go deep on your particular goals. So, Hope Circles is a really great resource for those that maybe have a particular step that they want to take together and just need the constant, accountability or just encouragement to keep going. It's a really great resource that Hope Writers offers.
And there's Hope Circle for just about anything. I mean, if it can be a genre that you write in, it can be a stage that you're in as a writer, it can be authors that need websites, authors that want to do, or writers that want to start a podcast. I mean, it's whatever people want to do.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's the stuff that you can't Google or find by typing into a search engine, right? Those questions that you get to ask within even our larger Facebook community as well, but even more specifically in a Hope Circle. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and you find other people that are kind of walking that same path at that same point in you, because there are many stages of being a writer, as we know in the Hope Writers world. There are, what is it, 6 stages?
There's 6 stages.
Yeah, can you rattle those off for us?
Sure. Yeah. They are writer, they are hostess,
Mhm.
they are entrepreneur. I'm going to marketer, essentialist.
Yeah. All
I
right.
think I got all six.
I know. I thought, oh, I should pull that up and I would look at it. Yeah.
That's good. I got it. I got
You got it. You got it. One of the things I like to say, and I know I'm not the only one that says it, but I truly believe it, is if you want to make progress in an area, is you need three things. You need a guide, and you need good current information, and you
Yes.
need community. And you really need to have all three of those.
Yes. 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 And amen to all of that.
And Hope Writers does that. Can you
Yes.
maybe hit on those three things and tell us how Hope Writers is meeting those needs?
Yeah. So, in terms of being a guide,
Mhm.
Hope Writers provides not only resources, right, that you need as you get started as a writer, or even for writers who have been, multi-published. We have resources for that level of a writer as well. And also you're being guided by writers who are published. We've got 3 founders who are published writers, and as in conjunction with that, we also have a slew of team members who are also writers, right? So you're being guided by writers who write. And I think that that's really important. The second thing that you said, did you say up to date? Is that what you said?
Yeah, good up-to-date information. Yeah.
Good up to date information. I think that that is really important because everything that you can find online, right? If I'm doing this writing thing by myself and I just Google something, there is a high likelihood that I might find things that were written, years ago. And
Mhm.
just like any other industry, the publishing industry changes and evolves,
Yeah.
right, with the time. And I think to be able to, again, be guided by people who are actively in the industry writing is really important. Not only that, we invite in different industry professionals to speak to us every Tuesday, right? So we have a thing called Tuesday Teachings,
Mhm.
and we've got editors and agents and writers and marketers, everyone that you're going to need to hear from if you're really trying to go from hobby writer to professional writer or speaker or podcaster or anything like that.
Yeah, and
And
those Tuesday teachings are great, and they live in a library so that, if you're at work on Tuesday or you're doing something else on a Tuesday, you go back. Now, if you're able to, you can ask questions. So
right,
you have, an author, agent, somebody in there that you have questioned. You can ask those questions, and I think you can leave some questions ahead of time as well,
yes,
and
yes.
get your questions answered right there, and you can always go back to the library and check that out. And there's like, I don't know how many that you
Oh, so
have,
many,
tons of
so
them
many. I don't even know the number. There are so
already
many.
there. I mean, you could join and like just binge watch, all of these and get a degree in
That's the
writing
new binge
basically.
watching.
Yeah.
New binge watching is Tuesday teachings. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
could do that and learn so much just about the publishing industry is such a mystery, and it's
It can be.
overwhelming.
Yes. Yes.
But it gets almost deconstructed, and you start to learn some names in the industry, start to get
Mm,
to know how things work, and then it's not so scary anymore.
yeah. That's really good, Kay. It's demystifying, the before I came to Hope Writers as a member,
Mhm.
I had no idea. I knew that I felt called to be a writer, but had no idea really what that meant. What were the steps? What do I need to do? And I think that that whole idea of, taking some of the mystery out of what it means to be a writer, like that's huge. It was huge for me.
Yeah, yeah, and I do wanna come back to the community part, but I wanna touch on your own journey as a writer, and, like,
Yeah.
what's that been like?
Yeah. Okay. So sort of the backstory is that I've always loved to write. As a child, it was my most favorite thing in school when, the teacher said we had creative writing time in elementary school, where it would just be like, write whatever you want, or tell us about your summer vacation. Like that, cliche essay that you had to write was my favorite thing. And so,
Yeah,
I get to talk about myself for a whole page. That's amazing.
yeah.
And so I've always loved it. And for one reason or another, though, we go through life and there are other avenues and things that feel, for me, I think it was because there were other things that felt more spelled out and more potentially financially lucrative, and that security aspect was really big. And so there were all these other career paths that sort of were easier to take because there was a clear path of how to do it. There were classes to take, there were jobs to apply for. And so out of college, I found myself right away working with kids with special needs. I was doing applied behavior analysis with kids with special needs, specifically on the autism spectrum. I did that for 18 years and I loved it, but I definitely knew that there was something else that I felt God was calling me to. And it really was more of kind of this first love of mine of writing, which I was doing in terms of journaling and things like that, like we all do, you know, we all have our private ways that we write.
Right.
And I just, I wound up meeting my husband at the time a few years ago. We've been married 5 years, and he really identified for me that, like, okay, you are kind of miserable. What would you rather be doing? And again, it just came back to, I don't know, but I did know, but I didn't know how to get there. So it was just easier to say I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so right around that same time, I started hearing about Hope Writers. I didn't know what it was, but I'd be on Instagram and I kept seeing the Hope Writers hashtag, and I'm like, what is that? What are people talking about? And started doing a little bit of research. And in 2018, I became a Hope Writer member. And I just immediately loved that there was a clear path. I got to take a quiz. Who doesn't love a quiz? The quiz told me where I was.
Yeah.
And it was like someone saw me.
Oh,
When
yeah.
I watched those initial videos of, I think maybe one of the first things I watched might have been like 90 Day Direction or something like that. And I remember Emily P. Freeman talking about just all of the parts of you are important, right? So that that writer part, that wife part, that family part, they're all important parts. And I needed the encouragement. I needed the confidence to step out into what I knew I should be doing. And that is what Hope Writers has given me. And honestly, it's because of that I have been able to transition to, I get paid to write words now. I
Yes.
have Hope Writers and I work on a couple of other different projects, and it's been life-changing. Honestly, my Hope Writer membership has led to a different kind of life that I'm really grateful for.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I bet you're thankful for your husband for kind of
Yes,
poking at that
yes, absolutely.
oh, that's a blessing right there.
It really is. Yeah,
You
I know that.
mentioned confidence.
Hmm.
Tell me about the role of confidence, because I asked some of you listening, what was keeping you from putting your words out there? And confidence by far was the number one thing that was holding people back.
It's huge. It is huge. There are a lot of writing resources out there.
Mhm.
Hope Writers is not the only writing community. But what I can tell you is the thing that you discovered by asking your readers, right? What is the primary thing that holds you back? It is confidence. And what Hope Writers does so amazingly well is instilling that confidence and pointing out that the message that you have inside is an important message to get out. And hearing that and seeing people around you who are on the same path that you are, doing things that they thought they would never be able to do, and me doing things I thought I would never be able to do, it it just propels you to the next step, because really all it is taking one step at a time. And I think because Hope Writers has a laid out path, it is okay, I'm gonna take this one small step, and I'm going to take the next small step. And before you know it, you've taken a lot of steps
Yeah.
and you are at a new stage and you're thinking to yourself, how did I even get here? But it's just that confidence is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's fuel.
Yeah, yeah, and I think part of confidence too is taking that world of being a writer
Mhm.
and bringing it kind of out of the shadows and demystifying it, and like you said, breaking it down into those steps, and it becomes doable. I wrote a book this summer. It's the first full book.
Congratulations.
It was not my book. I do ghostwriting,
Me
but it's still
too.
the longest bit of content. I've always written kind of shorter things, and I've helped people put together bigger pieces. But this particular book is the first full book. And so delivered that draft, but I had to really come up with a system, because now somebody has paid me in advance to put words on a page. And even though I don't have to come up with the original ideas because I'm a ghostwriter, I still have to take those words, I have to give them structure. I have to figure out where they go in the process of the storyline, and the where we are in the book, and what we're trying to explain, and then execute that plan. And I have
Right.
to do it on a schedule. I have
Yes.
to figure out what's missing and go hunt it
Uh-huh.
down. You know,
Uh-huh.
but all of those are steps. So I spent the
Yes.
first month just laying out, what do I need to do? And what do
Mm,
I have to, what resources do I have? What's the, going through transcripts and interviews,
mm-hmm.
the things that they'd already
Okay.
produced. But just having a process and having a community of writers. I had Hope writers that if I had a question on how to structure something, or how to do something, or how to get up and write 4,000 words, I had people I
Uh-huh.
could talk to.
Yes. Yes. Community. I mean, it's everything. It's everything. What's that quote that I've heard a billion times, but I'm going to forget who says it, or if anyone knows who originally said it, but it's, you can go fast by yourself, or you can go far with others. And it is 100% true.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I would just say to anybody listening that, if you've got a message, take a step at a time.
Yes. Yes.
Otherwise, it's just going to always be out there, just this thing
Mm-hmm.
that you always wanted to do.
Right.
And time marches on, and every year you get another year where you didn't do that thing, and there's a discontent. I mean, if there's something you've been thinking about for years, do something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I think that message is there for a reason, right? And the experiences that we've had in our life are meant to be used to help others in some way, shape, or form. It may not be through writing, it may be through speaking, it may be through podcasting, it may be through whatever your current vocation is, but the message is there for a reason. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to circle back around. We've touched on it, to a community, but we said that was one of the
Mm.
three main things, right? The
Yeah.
guide, the good up to date information, and community. Hope
Hmm.
Writers is very intentional about building community. So
Right.
how do they do that?
Yeah, we are. So, as the community writer, so the Hope Writers team is a large team, but we're broken down into smaller teams within the staff. And so the team that I'm on is the community team. And
Mhm.
our whole job is to think of ways to create community at Hope Writers. And so we spend a lot of time coming up with different ways to make a very large group of people feel connected. Some of those ways are, we've got the Facebook community, but within the Facebook community, we try and set up different activities, whether that is, at the sofa room where you can come in and write with others during the day. Like you and I are sitting here on Zoom, and we could both be working on our own projects, but it's nice to have someone and have that company, right? And have that camaraderie, as here's another person on a really similar journey as to what I'm on. We have things like the Friday shares where we get to see what everyone is working on and we can check in on, oh, that's an interesting post. So a Friday share is where our members get to share a piece that they've worked on within, that week maybe. It could be from their blog, it could be from their Instagram, it could be from, their Facebook or wherever they're putting out a guest blog, wherever they're putting out their words, they get to share during the Friday shares. And we all get to see and click on those links and see what each other are up to. We have things like we're starting to look at what it might be to have a coffee. So one of our team members, Ashley, actually piloted that right before New Year's, where she got on live and it was, let's, have a coffee together where we're in a Zoom room. We are connecting and asking each other intentional questions. And, we also have now the member directory, which is going to be, especially once some of our, COVID restrictions are lifted, it's going to be a really powerful resource in terms of finding other writers in your neck of the woods that you can actually get together with at your local coffee shop and do a writing day or just meet for coffee and chat and build each other up. It's such a wonderful resource. We're really excited about that.
We did that. There's a group here where I'm at. I'm in the East Coast, Virginia, and there's a group of us from a pretty broad area. Probably there were some people that drove an hour to go.
Wow.
Pre-COVID, we
Yeah.
met at a Barnes and Noble in the little Starbucks there, and
Yes.
sat down and just got to know each other, got to know the types of things that we were working on, and just shared and connected just as people on somewhere on this shared journey. We had these things in common, and some of us went back and friended each other on Facebook, and we've talked some
So
more and
good.
back and forth. So it really is amazing when you can get in community with other people that are on that journey with you. It's kind of like, if you're in, because I know people sometimes they join Hope Writers when we have that a launch, and you have that next couple of weeks where the new folks are coming in, and it's kind of like when you got off the train in New York City and you're like, whoa, this is big, and I don't know where to start.
What's that? Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, and somebody like Brandy will come and grab your hand and go, it's okay, it's going to be okay. Let me show you where to go, show you what to do. And it's good, and you'll find kind of where you fit in, you get connected, and it's a really great process. But
yeah, it definitely, I remember as a member feeling that, kind of being like, whoa, what is happening? And because it is so large, and but I think what's great too is that what we try and do is say, start here.
Yep.
Start here, go to your member library, take the quiz, introduce yourself in the Facebook community, which, can I just say, like, the most friendly people. I have never been welcomed the way that I was welcomed. And we are very intentional about making sure that people feel really welcomed when they first walk into that Facebook group, because it really is like walking into a huge party and maybe you don't even know anyone, So it's like, hey, we're so glad you're here. How can we help? Yeah.
Yeah, that intentionality that you have with not only building that community, but making each person feel welcome and find the things that you need to find.
Yes. The things that you
And
need.
it's there somewhere, and but it's structured in a way, like you can go in the library, you can find, if I need to find out how to write a proposal, I can find that. I can go in a few minutes on Hope Writers, whether it's in the Facebook group or in the library, and I can find direction on that. I can know, I need to write a proposal, and in a few minutes I'll know what to do.
Yes. We have those resources all categorized by writing stage, and it's fluid. Sometimes, I would say I'm a 3-4 somewhere, and sometimes I have to go back to stage 1 to relook at something, or stage 2 as a hostess, right? Especially when I think through like social media and how I'm doing that. And so it's a fluid process, but also at the same time, it's very, okay, I know I need to go to, the author stage to find things on a book proposal or something like that. So yeah, it's great. I'm
Yeah.
not biased,
It's
but
I'm nodding my head over here. I'm like, yes, this is true. What you're saying is absolutely true. Find it. And I mean, like I said, I've been in Hope Writers almost 3 years. I think it'd be 3 years in February. And am very happy to have found this group. And it's been a huge part. I probably would not be a ghostwriter if it wasn't for Hope Writers. I did some other things out, how many groups can you be a part of? But this has kind
yeah.
of been the writer group. And then I also got involved in some things very specific to ghostwriting. But I come back to the Hope Writers for the community and
Mm-hmm.
for, I love the Tuesday teachings, and especially when you're talking, I mean, my personal thing is I'm learning about publishing because I want to be able to help my authors, right? My people that come to me to produce a book.
Yeah.
Part of that is saying, well, yeah, here's how publishing works.
Right.
Well, how am I going to
Right.
do that without years of publishing experience? Well, I'm going to gain those years that Hope Writers has.
Amen.
Part of that.
Yeah. We have that in common, Kay, is that I was a ghostwriter for the first time this year,
Awesome.
and absolutely had to figure out as I went, right? Because it was one of
Yeah.
those things where I couldn't actually believe that I was doing it, first of all. And then secondly, it was like, okay, well, now that I am, how exactly does one do this? So yes, I think the resources that are available, and just the ability to ask a question in real time. So if there's something that I haven't been able to find in the library, what I can immediately do is jump into that Facebook group and say, hey, does anyone have a resource for this, or has anyone else experienced this? And within an hour, I've got like at least 10 to 20 probably responses of people who are, have done it, or know of someone who's done it, or has heard of a great resource. It's amazing. That community aspect is, yeah, you can't do it. You can't get very far, I would say, without that sort of support.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we say people that have been there before are here to help, you'll find names that you have seen on the covers of books you've read
Yes.
in the group. They're just kind of
Mm-hmm.
there. They're in the community just like you are, and they're jumping in and answering questions.
Yeah,
You know,
we've got a very broad community, right? We've got people who are literally just starting out and have written solely in their journals, or, and I mean, that was me. And then you've got the stage 6 writer who is published and knows the ropes, but continues to need that support and the community. And yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I keep thinking about C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, and these, they had the Inklings. They
Mhm.
met and they had coffee or whatever, sat around and shared little bits of their stories. They had community. I don't know why we think we can do it alone.
Really? Yeah. Why do we think we can do anything alone, really?
Right.
You know?
True.
Yeah. Most of this life requires people,
We do need
requires,
people.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to, I'm not someone who in school, I wasn't the first person to jump at a group project. I liked doing things on my own. I'm
Yeah.
pretty introverted. But I have found so much joy in collaborating with other writers, because that's another opportunity that you find within community, is to work on projects that you wouldn't have worked on because you wouldn't have thought of it.
That's right.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another great way to grow too. You do
Right.
pick up new skills. You do see new avenues and new opportunities that you didn't see before. It's another great advantage of community. And I keep coming back around to the confidence. I mean,
Mm,
there's
mhm.
nothing like somebody that's been exactly where you are and is now where you want to be, who pats you on the back and says, "You got this. You're doing it. You're doing the right things. It's going to pay off.
Mhm.
It's okay, and
It's
you're not alone."
it is. I honestly think that even before the mechanics and the steps of writing, it takes a mind shift. It takes a shift in your mind that says, this is important. Yeah. And the confidence is what helps you do that.
Yeah, there's somebody that needs the message, especially that message that's just burning in you that needs to get out. There's reason that it's there, and then and you go, oh, I mean, and this is really common with us in all different areas of life, as particularly I think with creators. We say somebody else already did it, somebody else does it better, somebody
Yeah.
else is more qualified, all of that, but there's still somebody out there that is only going to receive it from you,
Mm,
the way that you
mm-hmm,
deliver it.
mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know why that is specific to, I think it is something that creators really struggle with. I think about like people like no one ever says, well, there's already enough doctors. Like no,
Yeah,
no one ever says there's already someone performing surgery.
right.
We need you to do that too, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's room for you,
There's room for you.
and there's a need for you.
Yes, and amen. Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Brandy, thank you so much for being on. I do want to ask, because I know people now are going, okay, how do I join Hope Writers? What is involved? What does it mean to be a member of Hope Writers? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what's my
What are
commitment?
all the things?
Yeah, all the things.
Right. All the things. All right. So Hope Writers is a membership community and it opens for new members 3 times a year. And at those membership opportunities, some of the things involved in that membership are things like the things that we've mentioned. So all access to your member library. That
Mhm.
member library has hundreds of resources available to you as a new writer, as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
as a writer who has written books and has been published. It runs the gamut. We also have the member directory, which was something that new that we rolled out this year. And it is something that anyone outside of Hope Writers can access and find, like a writer that writes on a particular topic, a writer who has a specific skill set. And it is a really great way for you as a writer to have something, it's a resource that you can point professionals to because you can use it to post things you've written. You can use it to link to other pieces that you have in the atmosphere or wherever. So it's a really good resource for writers. And also, like I mentioned earlier, it's a great way to connect with other writers in your area.
Mhm.
We also have always the opportunity to join Hope Circles within Hope Writers. So it is like having a mini support group for your writing, right? And friends that you can make that, a lot of people join a Hope Circle and those become like their writing friends,
Yes.
and people form really deep relationships even outside of Hope Writers because of them.
Right.
We have a supportive Facebook community where you can ask any question at any time and have those things answered right away for you. Now, because I did not write it down, I'm going to forget. And this is not by design. It's because I'm really bad with numbers. Let's just put it out there. I'm a writer. I'm not a mathematician.
You're the word people. It's okay. We get you.
So while I should have written down the cost of a membership, I'm not hiding it from you. It's an annual cost is 400 something. I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm gonna say that. And you can head to hopewriters.com. The doors
Yeah.
open, our doors open soon, and they will be open, I believe, until the 29th. So it is, yeah, January until Friday, January 29th, to be specific. And yeah, I think
Okay.
I think I covered all the things that a membership offers.
Yeah, that's good. And I'll have all the links. You know the deal, folks. All the links
Perfect.
in the show
Thank you
notes.
for having my
And
back, Kay.
yeah, we're gonna definitely have a way to join Hope Writers in. And if you're on my email list, you're gonna get information on it as well. And and here, because this is actually the first time I've done the podcast on video and released it on video. I always use Zoom, but this is the first time where I finally said, okay, it's time to join the whatever century we're in and whatever year we're in, and because we're a little tiptoeing into the new year. So
Yeah, let's tiptoe.
y'all be
Oof,
careful out there.
we'll be careful
So,
out there. This is, yeah. Thank you so much, Kay. This has been so fun.
yes, enjoyed having you on, Brandy, and I look forward to seeing you, among the folks at Hope Writers. And now I know, in what you're involved in directly in Hope Writers, I know where to find you. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it's always nice to put a face with the name. So I look forward to seeing you there too, Kay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.